right along.
All right, we're back from our 5-minute break. Who's next? Jeff?
So I'm gonna skip the sheriff and go to the highway department. Well, actually, I had them next anyway. Okay, so the first two you'll see, and I put in my email that I already have Y's by these for yes, because if you remember right, we went ahead and had Jeff order another tandem and another single axle truck with his purchase that was coming from ARPA money, because it's taking so long. He still does not have any
Well,
of those vehicles.
Right, the ones I ordered last year, when we went through this process, the best case projection is next July. Well, then if you saw the UAW guys at Macus went on strike last week, so yeah, that's obviously gonna be delayed. So anyway, when I took the bids last year, it was like, basically,
205.
you're looking 16, 18 months, best case scenario to get these things, and can guarantee you're gonna have a pricing. If I waited another year, rebid it, we're gonna pay more than, so.
But they'll honor the prices that
The
you
prices
have,
were,
right?
right, exactly. So
Okay.
I locked in all those prices were all good, so.
So I put yes by both of these because we've already ordered it and because you guys already told them to go ahead and order it, so they're approved. But I have them on here because they will come out of capital. So the two new requests that Jeff has for the highway department this year is a mini excavator for $120,000 and a farm tractor for $160,000. And I'm gonna let Jeff talk because
Yeah, I mean, those are just basically two pieces, because actually this is my bigger mini Traco. And actually the day after I sent this request, I brought went out of it, and we don't have to go in yet, but both those, that one especially, and then the farm tractors, we actually had them here again this week, making repairs, so you kind of they're starting to get at that age, like the Traco's 12 years old, and like the oldest farm tractor's 8. So we're getting to that point with enough hours on them where we're starting to have to do some minor repairs, so, at some point that flips where you're spending a lot of money to keep these things going, that,
Are these the net figures? Because I assume you probably get rid of.
yeah, like the 120 is, I got just a quote on a new one, yes.
Okay, but if you sell the other one.
So, right, there would be some,
that's what I was gonna ask. So if we get a new, you're calling the mini excavator a Traco.
yes,
If we get a new one of those, you will sell the old one, right? So we can
Exactly.
get it off the books.
so, right, so
Okay.
probably 20,000. I mean, the number I put is
Yeah.
not accounting for that, but yes, both of those pieces there'll be some for sure residual value, and it wouldn't take that full amount.
Hey, and I will say this too, I started us an account on I think it's govdeals.com, and that's where we're selling our vehicles to now, which has worked out great for us. Where we would normally sell a sheriff's vehicle and get $500 maybe, we're getting $5,000 or $4,000 or something like that. Even for the ones that we wanted to get rid of, we got several $1,000s for each of them. So that has worked out great. And Jeff, the reason I bring it up is because Jeff sold his, what's it called?
The brush cutter,
Yeah, he sold that on there and we got more than what we expected to get. So that was great.
This eliminates the bidding process.
Well, and it goes like the people that bought it came from, you remember? Texas. We had people come from Arkansas that bought some of the sheriff's old vehicles, Florida. They came from all over. So we're getting a lot more people to bid on it. So selling that equipment, he will get some money for it. Jeff, what do you use a farm tractor for?
bush hog,
Okay.
along the roads, yeah. So because those are, yeah, like my farm tractors, they run 6 months. Both of them, I've got 2. They run 6 months
How many
every
hours,
year.
how many hours you getting on them tractors?
I don't know, right offhand.
How's the other one?
Well, actually, the John Deere mechanic is here working on both of them. So
So it's a John Deere.
it's
tractor.
2 years newer that I think the other tractor is, they're both John Deere. It's 2 years newer.
Any idea what year they are?
Well, the one is a 2015, and I think the others are 2017.
Okay.
So we can anticipate in a couple of years, you asking for another tractor.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
at some point, yes, exactly.
Okay, so that's just 2/4 request, however you want to look at it. Is there anything else that I didn't say or you want to add?
I think that's good.
How many horse tractor is that for $160,000?
130.
Are both those trucks max?
Yes,
The tandem and the single?
yes. They're a little bit, less.
These are just estimates, because you haven't put them out to bid yet.
On the two pieces of equipment, correct, yes. I got quotes from dealers, just generic quotes.
How, do you know the turnaround time? Will they even be in within the
I
year?
don't know.
You don't know that.
I
I didn't know how they're behind like vehicles are.
I'm sure there'll be something like that.
Anything else? We're gonna move on to the sheriff.
Contractor, you might be able to find.
Yeah, that would be more readily.
All right, so the sheriff's request, similar to the highways, I put yeses on the first two. If you remember, a couple years ago, I set up a vehicle plan for the sheriff's office so that he doesn't have to come in here and request every year for vehicles. And we decided to get 2 sheriff's vehicles a year. That's what kind of works out. And then every vehicle is getting replaced at between 5 and 6 years old. So it's working out. I think it's working out really good with this plan. So those 2 I have yeses for. You can see it's higher. We normally budget $45,000 for it. Price of cars was up, and so this is what it's averaging. I will hit on this because I think the sheriff and I both are in agreement on this. This year, he tried something out where we bought 1 car that was completely ready, road ready, is what I think what it's called. And
Other than the radar, stripes
right, but like
and
the
radio.
lights and all that is on it. Then we bought another car, how we normally do it, and then we pay Pena downstairs. We buy the products, he puts it on, we pay him overtime for putting it on and buying all the products. What we found out is it's actually about the same price to do either one. And yesterday when I looked at it, actually it's a little bit cheaper to buy the road ready one. The other one came in a little bit higher when I added all the expenses to it. So, putting this at the 60,000, we would be able to buy the road-ready vehicle and just have to add the basic things, which I think is the route we should go.
How much time does it take to get the one in that you have to,
A lot. Oh,
yeah, that-
ready?
To get a road ready, I was gonna ask that same question.
Well, the problem is,
I'd rather pay
so
Pena and pick the money local.
Yeah.
the person we got,
He doesn't want-
like you said,
I don't think Payne is upset about us
No.
buying road ready. He doesn't
Okay.
want that.
well, what I'm thinking about is if we have a vehicle, it's in the shop rather than out on the road.
Well, yeah,
we've had it for 3 months.
and it's
Yes.
still not ready.
Part of that
So
is
the
ordering
other
all
ones-
the stuff to get in and trying to get all that in.
Those ones ready to go,
Forever getting
what we're
paid.
waiting on.
So,
So like they ordered, what's the vendor that you ordered?
Rail Heron.
Rail Heron. So they ordered, you can see, I got an invoice from Heidi and it's got all this stuff that they ordered, but Rail Heron only bills us when we actually get the item in. So the first invoice, I have all these lines at 0 because they don't have in one item and we pay for it. And then we wait, and then we get another one, and it's 1 item or 2 items, and it's continuous, just waiting on parts to come in before Payne can even do anything with it. So, and I admit, we've talked about this before, and they've talked to Pena, and he's fine with buying road ready. Actually, I think he prefers that.
Yeah, at his age, it's getting a little hard for him to get that
He's
done.
getting close to retirement, so he's
Yeah.
not.
I mean,
He's not
yeah,
road
it's the
ready.
same, it takes a
Yeah.
lot of time, I'd rather pick the money local, but if he doesn't really care, I'd rather just.
well, that's the thing is, you can't, with these vehicles, we're going to Morrow Brothers
Where?
up above all, is where we're getting these vehicles. I went to Codes, I talked to Kent. Kent told me he couldn't get them. You're just wasting your time with them, so that's where we're getting them at.
No, I was talking about.
I know, but I'm just saying, you made that local, and I want to make that statement is we tried to, that's not even a possibility either.
I'm glad.
So the next request from the sheriff's office is for overtime. The sheriff has asked for 20 hours. I want to make sure I understood your request. 20 hours a week plus an additional 120 hours for the eclipse. And so then the average overtime rate would be $35.46. So the overtime, additional overtime that calculates out to is $41,000. I will tell you what his current budget is.
30,000.
There you go.
Reason being is we're gonna go back to the Safety Act, and we're paying overtime for these guys to go to court even prior to the Safety Act. That's a lot of this budget is these guys having to go to court, we're paying them overtime. We also have, we're transporting these people, to these mental facilities, which a lot of them is all the way to Elgin. I'm paying a guy 10, 12 hours. By the time you get there, get this person dropped off and get back, and you're sending two people. Knock on wood, but that hasn't happened in the last month, but there for a while, over the summer, he was making a trip to Elgin once a week, which just killed us.
What's the time factor on that? Going up there?
It ends up being 5, 6 hours, and then about 5 hours, I would say. And then you're in that facility, it depends on how fast you're gonna get them dropped off and get back out.
It's almost a whole shift.
Yeah,
I mean, I know a little bit about the Chicago area. If you look at the Contour area, I mean, leaves at 7 in the morning, gets there, 9 o'clock, it's $100 round trip per person.
they're gonna have to drop us out on a parachute to that facility in Elgin.
Or we take
It
a
just,
cab.
I mean, you probably would have to hire somebody to get you from O'Hare there, but, at $15 an hour, that's two guys, $30 an hour for
Well, it's always something to look at.
maybe cheaper and more efficient. So you might look into that experiment, but that country area is amazing.
So right now, the sheriff is over, budget in his overtime by about $20,000. But in the budget amendment, we moved money there because he's under in other items, which is really part-time. So it makes perfect sense. We gave him part-time money for part of the year, a lot of the year. We haven't had a part-time deputy, or at least we haven't had a part-time deputy working the full hours. So he saved money in part-time, and then he had overtime up here. So this year we moved it, but it did go over by about $20,000 this year so far.
Angie, I want you to know though, that over that contract, I can't use a part-time guy to cover overtime. I will get grieved, and Dale got grieved over it. So,
So do you not need a part-time
no,
deputy?
I didn't say that, because that part-time guy ends up taking care of other things. I mean, when we had Cody here as part-time, I mean, you know what he brought in. He brought in
That's a ticket
revenue,
money.
and I would like to find another one of those guys that was revenue. I mean, Josh with his other job, he's in harvest season right now, so we haven't seen him since August. So he told me that he was gonna be back and writing tickets, as soon as we got done with that.
So just so you know, I asked the circuit clerk's office yesterday to let me know how many tickets have been written by Cody and Shilnick. And Cody's is a lot, and Shilnick's is 0. He has never wrote one traffic ticket according to the circuit clerk's office, not one.
I know.
So he's working and he's not writing any tickets, nothing.
Since,
Since he started, ever. He's never wrote one. So I just thought you should know that.
You run any warnings?
I don't see
Nope.
warnings. So, no say. But,
Not that I've ever had a warning.
so that's the overtime request. The next request is for, $5,000 to be added to the uniform budget. The current budget is $6,000, so that would make this $11,000.
I don't think that needs to be that. I think I probably wrote something wrong.
Okay.
Well, we're gonna have to, because Juan, Pena, and Turner is all retiring, so we will.
Robbie could retire.
And Robbie, yeah, he's already started asking about it and looking into it, so Robbie will go. So that means we're gonna have to outfit all of them. Plus, with the vest being worn on the outside down, I'm having to get shirts every year. And their pants, I mean, I'm having to get them uniform shirts and pants pretty much every year.
What
At
does
least
a shirt and pant cost
$90 a pop.
for each?
Pants are 86, shirts are right at about 72.
Can we do this math, Heidi, you and I?
Mm-hmm.
So if it's about 200, what do you want it multiplied by? How many?
200 times 8, so 1,600.
That's just your deputies.
Yeah, and then the new people, you've gotta get them short sleeves, long sleeves, a vest is 1,000.
We have money to.
Yeah, the vest we can get paid back
Oh,
with grants.
yeah.
Half of it.
And I have that budget.
Badges runs at about $152 a piece.
But don't you have to buy uniforms also for dispatchers?
Uh-huh. Because they go, now, we've allowed them to wear jeans now, so we don't have to get them a pant anymore, it's just the shirt. The shirt runs about $38 and then $10 to embroidery, so about $50 each.
Okay. 59 of them count the part-time person.
Is that taking into account the additional court people that we're
We
talking
have two
about?
detectives too.
What do you mean, of course?
I thought earlier we were talking about
That was just that additional money, whenever Denny's, whenever he was asking, that was,
adding more court.
Oh,
that's
You mean our
just,
court
that's just
security?
more hours.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily another person, that's just more hours.
I have lots of court security clothes, because they all still wear the dress outfits, and see, none of our guys do downstairs. I could dress them for a long time,
Okay.
unless it's vest. Vest is the only thing we get in with them.
So how much are you thinking it needs to go up if it's at 6,000? You want to see where you're at now?
I would probably take it up 2,500, like to 8,500. Yeah, I've gone through it this year, we have nothing left. But we had a lot of switchovers of sheriff and a chief deputy and badges and,
Yes.
because every time you give someone a promotion, their badge changes.
You're right, it's been.
I know, it's a lot this year, not usually,
I'm sorry.
I know.
So the next item on here is for training. It's for a request to increase the training by $6,000. I put my note in here so I could tell you guys, there was a couple different things. I know you do different trainings, but the training for the academy is budgeted out of the DUI fund. I went ahead and budgeted for 2 trainings. I think Heidi, you told me the state will pay half.
Yes,
So I budgeted for 2 trainings and I budgeted for a $1,700 jailer training, in case you need that. But that's all out of the DUI fund. So I
Okay.
wasn't sure if I already did that there, if this needed to be out of the general fund, or if
No,
that
as
was the
long
only training you were talking
as
about.
long as you have academy
I
and
do.
something else, then we're still okay in training.
Okay, for regular just training, you think you guys are just a normal increase, like I put a normal.
Normal,
increase.
yeah,
We haven't had to refuse anybody training this year, done where we've been okay.
Don't forget, and I talked to you about it, did I ever give you that guy's business card from ICRMT?
No.
Free training. Okay, I've still got that, but I don't know if that would help this any at all, I
Yeah.
mean, but
Well, and a lot of our training, NTU pays us back for, or they pay for. The biggest thing with training is usually hotel and food, and I take that out of travel and.
Right.
So training is, more used for like the sheriff's conference and special items we have, like,
detectives do
yeah, detectives going and, your active shooters in your building, stuff like that we send them to.
All right, then the next item on here, on the list here from the sheriff's department is a printer for the cars for e-citations. Do you wanna, I'll tell you that I don't have the formula in here. It's 8 printers, right?
Mhm.
And that's the quote You
It's
actually
about,
got
it
it.
ends up being just a little over $800 per vehicle.
Do you want to explain e-citation to them?
So, of course, the old tickets, I mean, that if you was getting a ticket today, you can write them out. This was looked at several years ago, and it was not, something that was affordable because of these printers in the cars. They didn't have computers in the cars at the time. And what these do is they more or less, they print out a ticket to you, traffic citations. And also, it's a guy with multiple tickets, and officer deputy's lazy and he doesn't want to write out 3 tickets. It's easy to do. The big thing is we're going to go back to the Safety Act. I went to the sheriff conference and dealing with the circuit clerk and how this needs to be with these citations. That's the reason I even talked to him about it and found out the price on it, that it went down. All these complaint forms and what we need to do need to be computerized. It goes directly to the circuit clerk when you hit the button. There is no being lost or holding on for 7 days instead of being there in the 48 hours that it's supposed to be legally. It's just an improvement technology wise that I think will be more efficient.
And so.
And we also have, I forgot about that, but we have e-citation money that the state's attorney, whenever there's a ticket written, there's $5, or I don't know exact dollar amount, but goes into this account. There's already $4,700, correct?
Yeah.
In that account that we can't use on anything but e-citation. Carrie also has e-citation money she'll have to buy a program so we can send it to her. And that's something I didn't think about until yesterday when I was talking about her, because when I first talked to her about it, she's been pushing this for the last couple of years since she's been here. But when I first talked to her about it, it was, she would buy the program and take care of this and whatever else. And then she told me yesterday that I also had to buy a program so they could talk to each other. And I don't know what that is. I didn't have time to find that exact quote.
I was gonna say, if we're 47, wouldn't that pay for part of that?
Oh, it would pay
Yeah.
for,
Most
I mean, you got $2,000.
So the printers that he's asking for 6,900, obviously we would use the e-citation fund first, because that's what it's for the 4,700. But just so you guys know, for some reason, for the sheriff's e-citation, it took 10 years to get $4,700. He averages like $400 a year. So it's not like gonna be able to just keep paying for stuff. It could pay for these, and that's what it's meant for. Now Carrie's on the other hand, and I'll switch over to hers. She gets a lot more for e-citation, but I don't know how much it's just, she's actually gonna have to buy the program, I think, which I didn't know you were too, but the program.
That's what she told me yesterday, so.
See, that confuses me, because ISP uses this, and they still have to hand in their tickets.
Because she doesn't have a program yet.
Oh, okay, so she's not able to read it, okay.
So the circuit clerk has $55,000 in e-citation. So this should pay for, I would think, her program, but I don't know. So I think it's a great thing if we can start doing the e-tickets and then they don't have to go hand them in.
Well, and they're legible, you know,
Yeah.
it's hard to read all the other, they're having to call deputies constantly, no. They can't read anything.
Like a doctor.
Yes, it's bad.
What kind of a life expectancy is on these little machines?
Are you getting the ones that go on the headrest?
That's what he had quoted me on. The state police has got them in the armrest. That's what Taco talked about when he looked them up. They were about the same price. That's the reason I sent you that quote, just let them alone.
Which one do you like, or you don't know yet? Right, try them or see if they have. I don't know what the light
And
is.
how long do they last, you know?
depends
Yeah,
on
well,
it.
it's probably a matter of how much it gets used.
Mhm.
Or how many times it gets hit.
Yeah, exactly.
Bet you don't get them fixed.
Well, then we wouldn't have to buy the other tickets anymore either, so that cost would come off there, so that's about 1,000 a year.
I'm not gonna decrease that, because I figure you probably have
Yeah.
200 for this. So they're probably, kind of.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, the thing about it is like, when we had the speed, grant, and I was out there writing tickets, I'm not gonna put that in my truck. I think that's silly, we'll still have to have a ticket every once in a while, so I mean, if I gotta write a citation, then I'm not gonna put it in the utility vehicles.
What about your detectives? You didn't quote them, so
No, it's just they deputies, that's the cars, so there's no reason to put it in everybody else's. If Eric was out there writing tickets, like if we had something like that going on, he could just have to handwrite them.
Easy to move from car to car as we replace her.
Oh, yeah, that would be easier, but
They're not permanently mounted, kind
No, but I wouldn't think you'd wanna grab it and run it away and
No.
no, it's mounted in that car. It's not,
but yeah.
I think you
of.
take it and move
Car,
it.
it can move
Yeah.
to the new car.
Yes.
Anything else on the runners? All right, the next item on their list is for a 3/4 ton truck. Obviously, if, vehicle prices, $50,000 is not going to buy us a new one. So I believe the sheriff's office is actually gonna look for a used 3/4 ton truck. And it's basically because we have the trailer out here that we use for different things, but we also use for the fair. They take it out there. We only have one truck here that can pull it. And that truck is old and starting to have a lot of problems. So if that truck goes down, we can't pull that trailer.
So the thing is several years ago, there was a grant for a meth trailer. That's the one that you see out at the fair. It's gotta be pulled by a 3/4 ton truck. That thing's never been utilized for, what it is. I mean, it's a command center, it's set up. There's been several instances since I've been here that we could have, possibly utilized this. It's never been equipped with what it needs to be in it. I mean, that the side-by-side was not in it. It needs to be, we're holding that in there right now. We've got that over here in the garage. We're gonna have, electricity hooked to it, so batteries can be charged on it. And it needs to be utilized whenever there's search and rescue, whenever there's, an incident. So that's where I am with it. We're gonna take methamphetamine off the side of that trailer. It's gonna be Union County Sheriff's Department, trailer, and we're gonna start utilizing this, for some of these incidences that we're dealing with. If we have to search for somebody.
So that's
So-
what that is.
So this truck, we're gonna sell equipment on that, govdeals.com. We can actually purchase on there. Have we ever purchased any equipment off of there?
I have not. I have looked.
It's,
I've looked for the 3/4 ton truck, but I'll be honest with you, I stopped looking because no matter what I find now, it's not gonna be available December 1st. So it
Yeah,
doesn't
you
do
have
any
to
good to
wait.
look until we're ready to buy.
correct.
But yes, I was looking on there. And
Yeah.
I think Adam's been looking at some places trying to find,
But he's the same boat as you are.
Yeah.
Until we are approved, there's no reason.
Just have to remember, you have to factor in the cost of having it shipped here. That's the only thing.
Well, because these are the same trucks that we ran into the chip issues with ambulances, and we've got 3 trailers that all require a 3/4 ton truck currently in the county. So.
what else do you have?
So,
They have the
There's the
metro.
sheriff's trailer, there is the communication trailer, and then there's the ambulance resource trailer.
Is the communication one for rescue? Is that what we
Yeah.
call the rescue trailer?
Yeah.
Well, just how heavy are these trailers?
They're, dual axle, trailers that are fully fitted out with generators and radios, so they're.
They're so heavy that half ton he's got couldn't pull
No.
And the tone.
You pull the guts right out of my brain. Trying to make that sound they are, car haulers. That's what they are. I mean, that's the reason you put You can put that, side by side in there or whatever. That's what was purchased years ago.
I'd look at gov deals closer to that date.
Well, we gotta get them approved and get in the budget, so, yeah, then we can start, again, keeping that local, you know, we put Kent.
And actually, to tell you the truth, you may get one less than 50,000.
Right, and if we do, then the money just, because this will be in capital, so then it could just be for, you know, you never know, like this year, I mean, the sheriff, I don't remember what the other thing, I think one of the cars actually came in higher than what we budgeted, but something else in capital came in lower, so it all worked out. So that's kind of how we do with it, and then it just sits in that account until you reallocate it.
Right.
So this can be shared with ambulance too. I mean, so it'll be accounted,
You mean the
even
truck?
though you're gonna pay for it out of your kind of budget, but it can be.
Because in the past, we've had the two big trucks and then one went over to animal control and that left one over here.
Well, the conversation that I had with Angie is the old our maroon Chevrolet, was gonna go down to the, highway.
The highway department would like
And
to
the
have the
old-
sheriff's.
Any old trucks?
And the old blue one,
Need them.
the old blue one that, is gonna go down there too, so we would be without a vehicle. It was more or less, I wanted it used, so whenever Adam had to go to Rusty's and get something or whatever else, that way it's driven a little bit through the week. So whenever you go get in the thing, you might not have an incident for 2 months, and then we need this thing. I don't want, have to jump this thing and whatever else. So that was the idea with the 3/4 ton truck is it was also to utilize, for Adam to be able to utilize.
But it also could be for Cody at the last minute if he gets desperate for.
You know what, I
The
might
problem
add,
with that is
Where
if he's going, I'm going. So
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
unless we put both trailers up on the same truck.
you know, Angie, I might add, that when we get to the point, if you do decide to look for a truck at that particular date, I wouldn't necessarily tie myself into just a 3/4 ton. You can get a 1
A
ton.
3/4 or above, I
Yeah,
guess I should,
you
yeah.
can get a 1 ton, single axle, single wheels on the back, a 1 ton. And that would have heavier applications that way in case we did get a future trailer bigger, we'd have the truck already to handle it.
You know, you got a weight limit on that single tire too. That's why I always try to do these 1 ton, but that extra tire increases your license tag a little bit. Totally low.
But we'd have the capability.
Good? Okay. The next item from the sheriff's office is for tasers. It's for $45,000 to buy 15 new tasers. I'm assuming it's the 8 deputies, the 2 detectives, the sheriff,
Bailiff,
the
there's one in dispatch.
6 bailiffs, and there's 1 in dispatch. So that's how we get to the amount. That's
Do we
So
not-
this is,
So they're really old.
yeah, they are.
He said they're from Buff.
Yeah, Buffalo. That's how it is over there. I don't know how, she asked me for a year. I could give them a year, but I just remember that's when it was bought. There is a grant out there. Windhorse sent me something, they're setting up the money now. The grant isn't necessarily there, but they had set money aside, in the state's budget for non-lethal weapons, which is a taser. That grant's out there, but it's like, these gamer grants and whatever. You gotta buy them. I'm assuming that's how this is gonna come down. That's what I'm figuring. You're gonna buy them, and then you're gonna roll the dice, and hopefully they're gonna reimburse. There's money set out. So that's hopefully what's gonna happen with this, but at the same time, if it doesn't, it needs to be set up in the budget that way. The tasers we have, to be able to get batteries on them, Taser doesn't even make them anymore, so you have to get them through Amazon. We're getting ready to have to do the same thing with the cartridges. which isn't made by Hazer. So,
Yeah, we had a company that was going out, so we bought everything that they had, so they weren't gonna carry them anymore. So we bought everything that they had just to get by this year.
So, I'm unfamiliar with the taser. Is the cartridge, like, once they trigger it, you need a new cartridge? Is that what
just like
it is?
shooting a bullet.
And the battery, is it just, how long's the battery last?
It's rechargeable.
Mhm.
But,
Okay,
no, it's not, these aren't rechargeable, no.
Oh.
These are just batteries, I don't
I mean, does the battery last the whole year?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. But they can't buy parts for the ones that they.
These new ones are supposed to be chargeable,
That's what I meant.
Yeah. yeah, the new ones are, but the old ones are not, no.
So that's this request for 45,000 for tasers. The last request from the sheriff's office, it's not, I put a note in here because I'm just curious, because the same request came from Cody. So I don't know if you guys are saying you want two, or you're saying you want one each, or you just want one. But it's a request for a drone. The sheriff's office quote was for $10,000. I put in here, is this rescue? But
So, the thing about the drone is, luckily I had Sergeant Miller from the state police. Yes, there is a drone that we have. I didn't know where it was the day that I needed it, because that's not something I even thought about by being here. And actually Robbie had it at his house. It was uncharged, even if he, it's back here now. But this thing was bought 8 years ago. You know where technology is. Yes, does it still fly on whatever else, and it takes a beautiful picture over your house? Can I zoom, can we get down and find somebody? No, when this thing was bought years ago, thermal imaging, if you wanted something like that, you were talking about $30,000. That has came down, this thing's got got cameras on it, more than just one camera. You can pick somebody up. But back to my story though, is if it wouldn't have been for Sergeant Miller to tell me exactly what to say to the state police to be able to get theirs down there. There was a gentleman that was, we thought he was a hostage, or he was in this trailer and supposedly had a gun. He wasn't coming out, and requested a drone because maybe he slipped out the back door. And that's how we ended up finding him. And arresting him was that drone.
I know we're talking about your budget here, but I mean,
was it the same request, or are you both?
why do we need two?
So essentially, there's been 4 or 5 instances just in the last year where having a drone on the scene would have quickly allowed us to find someone, whether it's for a criminal reason, someone lost, someone injured. We called in the state police tactical team. They took 45 minutes to an hour to come in with that drone for that instance. Or if we had one on scene, we could have found it within 15, 20 minutes.
Right.
And we've called in Franklin County for their drone several times. They weren't able to come down once. They were able to come down, clear several large fields within about 30 minutes. It would have taken us 3-4 hours. And so they saved us 4 hours of a search.
Since we already will have one in the county though, I mean,
Yeah, like-
we're talking 10 or 15 minutes
So
for you to respond to.
I mean, you guys are gonna, like you said a while ago, you'd be there if he was.
well, that's the idea.
Again, why do we need two on most of these instances? Both you guys are gonna be there anyway.
3, because we already have one. And why don't we call our drone
Well,
for
so,
those cases?
well,
That drone is 8 years old and there's only one person currently trained.
I was gonna say,
yeah,
yeah.
so that's the big thing that's one thing that me and Cody had talked about he had actually looked at, because there's times that it's a fugitive we're looking for and they don't need to be out in the field. They could, help us run the drone or vice versa. And one's working here, one's working there, and if we had 6 people, let's say, that's trained on that drone.
But my point is though,
Then you only need one.
which 6 people, why do we need more than one drone? If he's got the drone at his place, or if you've got it at yours and we need the drone, Why do we need two?
Well, the idea is more of starting a drone program essentially here. So in my quote, I actually put the two different styles of cameras. So the larger quote for the 6,000 has the infrared, the night vision, thermal, and then the other one is just a standard camera, which has more zoom during the daytime, but obviously at nighttime it's useless. So to have those two different options of cameras, you have to have two different drones.
But I guess wait, you have to have two different drones?
Yeah, because one has a different camera that can focus more during the daytime, the other one has the thermal imaging camera,
Can't get one with both.
because the cameras are different that are attached to these drones.
But why can't, I guess my question with that is aren't these cameras interchangeable that you can take one off and put one on?
Not quickly, because they're actually installed, on the
Okay, that's-
vehicle.
That's what, and the only reason I'm asking that, is that's what somebody said to me is changing cameras and all that for us, but I didn't know.
I mean, it sounds crazy, but I have one for the farm, that I've got, and it cost me $1,100. Could we get a good one and then $1,100 for a backup, just to, something like that?
Because, these are they're by the same company, that way you're using the same controls, all the same equipment, and they have the two different options. Because once you get into that thermal imaging,
I'm old, I'm not getting or anything, but I can fly the darn thing. For $1,100, and that pictures are fantastic. That's what I'm saying, I would rather see 4 or 5 at $1,000, and one good one.
I'm still confused though. You're estimating $10,000 and you're estimating 6 something, but you're saying yours
because
is
mine are
better.
just the drones, that's all the quote was.
I'm not sure,
His
honestly,
includes
I'm not sure if the
training.
sheriff actually had a quote from someone. Did you, or did you just say
Just
10,000?
Anthony telling me,
And actually.
So it
yeah.
might be $6,200.
Yeah.
So,
I can see though, at times a need maybe for two. Say a situation arises, you have a walk away from home in the country. Maybe an older person has Alzheimer's and they walk away from home and it's sub-freezing temperatures outside. And if you did have two, you can cut down the amount of time in half maybe to find that person and potentially save their life.
Personally, in my opinion, is you can't have everything, on the budget side of it, so I would personally say you can figure it out.
Yeah, because the idea was not to store these separately as separate entities, it was all to go on one response trailer, which is kind of the idea behind this amphetamine trailer being switched over to just sheriff's office. Because these are gonna be equipped with TVs that are actually gonna show the images. Because when you do these missions, you have one person who's piloting, one person who has to watch the drone, and then a third person who's actually watching the camera footage to take and look for the person we're looking for.
Well, and again, we're not making decisions right this minute, but
So you
I'm not sold on getting two.
well,
This
so
is what-
your department has one drone.
they currently have one drone.
And if something was to happen to it, we would have 0 drones.
So would we sell that drone?
Probably not worth
Good.
it. The technology has changed so much.
Okay.
And again, the
I'll
one I
sign up
have,
that deal.
you can take it up high and good to go.
Yeah, but that's a really
As long as the
great
weather
stuff.
conditions are
Like
good.
him doing over his farm and stuff, it's fantastic for that. We had it out running last week, and
Yeah.
it was, but now if you're trying to find someone in the woods,
It's not
gonna
thermal.
find that,
No,
no.
not
And
at
it's
all.
not gonna zoom down to that.
But it, frankly, it would be better than nothing.
Well,
not necessarily.
No.
But
This one, whenever you're,
As long as we have a good one.
we
Yeah.
just get it stuck in the trees and it would be,
The one I have won't get stuck in trees, it has brain.
Well, Highway department has a spare tractor.
there we go.
In case the other one goes down, we can still push off the roads. Just saying.
So that's it for the sheriff's department. I'm
Okay.
gonna tell you that I can't get to my quarters because of the way the mayor has it wrapped in there. and my computer's gonna go off in 14 minutes, but we have hard copies, so you just won't be able to see the screen. So I'm gonna skip the coroner for a minute, just because he's not here. Well, actually, let's just do it. The coroner is asking for a third deputy. Their deputies get paid $350 a month. So for 12 months, it'd be $4,200. I will say this, ever since I've been here since 2015, the coroner's office has operated with a coroner and 2 deputies. So I'm not quite sure why a third deputy is needed. I just think it's an ask that he made from talking to him, because he said, you know, we all have full-time jobs and there's occasions that we're all unavailable. We have to change things to be able to go get it. But that's his request. Is what? No, no.
Well, I don't, of course, too, I mean, he made mention in talking that he didn't want a raise, which that position hasn't had a raise in 20 years. And we're doing that.
Yes.
So I don't see that it's a necessity myself.
I don't know, Zach, what is their duty? The deputy for the coroner.
Well, they
That's
take,
the duty.
Max is next.
they take turns. If the coroner's out of town on vacation, somebody's gotta fill in.
Okay.
Or if he's gone just somewhere.
Or somewhere else or something.
So, I mean, they're called a deputy, just like deputy sheriff.
Right.
And sheriff, so I mean, they do the same thing.
Okay.
Frankly,
But-
anybody that dies
Assistant. I guess.
outside the hospital or, facility, then the coroner have to pronounce.
Medically suspicious activity.
Have we ever run across the need where we needed a third one? I mean, was everybody out and about?
No, that's what I'm saying. We
Yeah.
operated with 2 and the coroner for,
Forever.
And never had a call for a third?
well, you're never gonna have to call for 3 at a time.
Yeah, well, I'm
It's
saying the other
just-
ones are busy.
It's, yeah, no,
Okay.
not that I'm aware of. But I don't, I mean, we'll see, but I don't see that that's necessary either.
All right, so next on the list is the ambulance department. Way down here at the end was the drone, but we already talked about it, so, we'll do the other ones. The first request from Cody is for a Stryker power cot with an auto load system. The quote for that is, he's got 2 quotes for 2 different kinds of systems. I don't know the difference between them, I'm sure he does, but one of them was 61,000, the other one was it was 65,780. So, and this is to basically change out the loadings. Okay, so in our newest ones, we bought them with the auto load.
Just the last one.
Right, it's the very newest one.
The other 22 doesn't have one, and that's what this was doing too, is towards that brand new truck we got last year.
So can we explain to them what it does?
So this is what allows us to load the patient in and out of the ambulance, saving backs,
Like automatically?
because we found that the weight of our average patients has gone up about 50 pounds in the last 5 years. Just looking back through all of our reports and running those records, the average weight of the patients is going up. We have several patients we pick up almost weekly that are over 400 pounds. So we use that auto load system quite often at this point on the one truck. So to have the second truck with that option, it's literally saving someone's back. And I know in the past, we've been able to get Senator to take and cover part of those.
That's what I was gonna say. If you guys would approve this, I would apply for the grant was from Snedeker, which I believe is $10,000. And they allow you to apply for that every other year. And we did not apply for it this year. So we would be eligible to, most likely, we will get $10,000 off of this. It definitely qualifies.
And the price difference
What's
is
the
between the current generation of cots that we have now and the next generation they've had in the last year that they're going into. That's all it is.
If you go with the higher one,
I'd rather go with the lower one because it matches all the same batteries we have now.
that's fine.
Because the new ones come with lithium-ion batteries and they're completely different shapes. They don't fit the same.
You 2 are, more comfortable with our insurance provider. Would they assist in the price? Because this definitely theoretically could help work with comp.
That's what we're talking about, the
Yeah,
$10,000.
grant.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't know, that's what you were talking about.
Yeah, that's with our insurance company.
And this will replace our second oldest cot, which is 10 years old. So at that point, Stryker no longer will have, liability if something were to fail on the cot with a patient on there. They say 7, 8 years is the lifespan of their cots, and after that, it's on you.
That's what that one is. The next one is the replacement of the garage door / opener.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Cody, but I think it got hit this year.
So this is early last year, the opener actually failed, stopped the door short, top of the ambulance clipped the bottom of the door. It's been temporarily repaired, but this opener needs to be replaced because it's happened multiple times to where they're having to actually take and make sure that the door goes all the way up, hit it up and down multiple times to get it to fully lift the door.
I almost just put this in his budget without even putting it on your capital, because it's a thing that we're going to have to
It's
do.
definitely a necessity.
Yeah.
Did we turn that in on liability insurance?
We did not, because our deductible is too high. Cody and I both looked into it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put a Y on that, if you don't mind, because I don't think we have a choice but to fix the door.
They have to get out.
Okay, the next thing on his list is for,
The bollard covers.
thank you, Cody.
So we've been having to repaint these every couple of months as the ambulances strike them. Right now, they're painted tan, and these bollard covers will be a one-time purchase. They're plastic covers, go over the top of them. They have reflective tape, they're bright yellow. They'll save us from having to repaint these bollards and sand them down every couple of months.
What happens if they hit those though? Don't you have to replace it?
Well, that's the thing, is now you can see them, because they're bright colors and they're reflective.
Oh, is that the problem?
Because the problem is, in the rain, you're looking in the mirror, all you see is the light coming from inside the building, so you don't see the tan that matches the same paint color as the building.
These are the things that go over
Oh,
Yeah, over the
concrete
posts.
posts.
Yeah, to protect the corners of the entrances.
So that's what that is.
It's not a super expensive purchase, it's just something to save our ambulances and our buildings.
The last thing that we need to talk about for the ambulance department is a training mannequin, which is $1,610. I'll let you talk, but I'm assuming it's because we're going to start, we're going to start, we are doing training classes. We're hoping to get more people in them because we're short staffed, so.
Yeah, and so this is a dual purpose mannequin. It allows us to practice intubations for our current medic staff, as well as doing CPR training, which we have to do every single year.
So it's like a
also
head
work with her.
and a body is what it is.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
not the full body, like to the waist. And
So is that the price for a new mannequin?
That's
Yes.
brand new.
Brand new mannequin.
Yeah,
Yeah, because with intubation mannequins, you can't buy used ones because they're dry rotted. You're actually you're putting tubes down the throat, you have to inflate the lungs.
and we already talked about the drone. You guys have any questions for Cody? All right, I'm gonna skip, well, I put it as you guys, but I guess it's really me, but I'm gonna skip that and go to HR, because I'll go last. So Angela has a request on here for, filing cabinets. So a normal filing, like her filing cabinets, just so you know, in her office, which is they are full. She has to have all the employee personnel files, all their medical files, payroll, everything is in her office in these filing cabinets. And they were all used filing cabinets around this building that we found that people aren't using, that we put in her office. And as a matter of fact, that's what's in my office, is like old used filing cabinets. I'm talking with them. She uses her filing cabinets all the time, like I would say every day. And so she got a quote for them to replace them, which was $1,656 to get new ones. I thought that she should actually have fireproof cabinets, because the stuff that's in her cabinets, I think that if there was a fire, we would want to make sure we don't lose every employee's personnel file and the payroll and all that. So not knowing, I had her get a quote, And the quote for fireproof cabinets is $16,500.
Needless to say, I'm not gonna say I'm an expert, but the bank we gradually replaced with fireproof, and they are expensive, but, again, doing local, you'll make sure that, reference Office Supply, because they were very.
That's who gave
That's who gave the quotes.
Okay. They
So
were very-
Angela's fine with getting the new ones for $1,656. That's actually what she suggested. I just wanted to put it on here because I want you guys to think about the fact that, I just want you to know that if there's a fire, we lose all those records. Same thing in the assessor's office, just so you know. All the property records, none of them are in a fireproof filing cabinet.
What if we gradually, rather than make the initial purchase of all of them,
Like buy one a year.
and then in a few years, then we'll have them all replaced.
Yeah.
Is the county clerk's all fireproof?
Yes.
Is there a chance of getting a good one that's not fireproof?
See, in my old employer, that's what we did. We actually had a vault and all of the personnel files, we moved in there rather than have to purchase fireproof cabinets. My concern is I don't know if I can have access to his vault. I don't know if it gets locked up or, I don't know.
You can always use my vault. The problem, honestly though, Lee, the problem with your vault is this full.
It's full,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking also, there'd be way for one filing cabinet to fit in there.
Now, there is a vault right outside, kind of a vault right outside your door, that next room, but I don't know if that's fireproof.
I don't think it is.
No.
So,
That's got there.
anyway, that's what's there. Completely up to you guys. I just want you to know she doesn't have fireproof cabinets.
My own personal thing, I think, get the ones right now that are not fireproof, replace all them, and get maybe one unit of the fireproof
For the
every
next,
year.
every year.
Mhm.
Or half of one, set the money aside.
Half the filing
You know
cabinet.
what I mean? Set the money aside or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, the water's
Let me
running.
tell you, from experience, they absolutely take 6 men and a dolly and.
Oh, yeah, that's, yeah, I hope the floor
Empty.
holds them. That would be the other concern, if they was not.
All right. The next thing on her list is for catering for the Christmas lunch. So as you guys know, every year we have a Christmas luncheon for our employees. And we ask them all to bring dishes, and you guys provide the meat. You guys always chip in, and I think we get pulled pork, and then everybody buys the dishes. We've heard grumblings over the last couple of years of, why do we have to make a dish to come to our Christmas lunch? Which I get our side of it is, well, you don't have to, if you don't want to, but people just have to bring the dishes. Well, Angela went out and got a quote for what it would cost for us to just cater it in, not have you guys pay anything, not have the employees have to bring a dish, and that cost is approximately $2,600 is what it is.
And that is including, the gratuity, so, that's everything.
That would be
Including drinks,
everything it
And
is.
who's doing that?
kitchen and Lafayette was the one I got.
That's what she got the quote for. But, we could use anybody, but that's kind of where the quote came in. I will say this, I don't
They do
come
all the
from,
cleanup afterwards too, so.
well, and I don't come originally from government. I come from, the outside world, and where you do things for your employees. And you buy, at the company I work for, every month there was a cake, and it was January birthdays, February birthdays. We don't do that here, because it's taxpayer money, and we don't want to spend taxpayer money on, fun stuff necessarily that's not needed. But I will say, I think this is something you guys should consider too, is just, it's not that much money, and I think it would mean the world to our employees. That's just my opinion.
What's the usual head count on that?
Usually, I would say around 60.
You estimated high.
But I estimated if it's catered, we'd probably have 85 that would attend, that's what I estimated.
That's what this number is on. So it could come in lower, because like she said, we normally have 60, she's estimating 85, because we do have some people that don't come because they don't want to bring something.
Yeah.
So, but that's what the request is. you have any other
And
questions on that?
I did want to share what that menu quote was, because I thought it was pretty reasonable. It was for bacon wrapped pork chop and chicken, so you had 2 meats, mashed potatoes with gravy on the side, country green beans, fresh tossed salad, homemade yeast roll and butter, white cloud cake, sweet tea, unsweet tea, and lemonade.
If she caters it, it will be well done.
That's no money for our employees.
It's
They
the
do a
only
good job,
thing
you
we
know,
would be doing.
Have we ever
don't
given
celebrate
hams
anniversaries
or-
or anything.
every year we buy cards to give out. Last year, we almost had enough, we were short one. Every
Yeah.
employee would have got a gift
Yeah,
card of
get
some kind.
$25 gift card.
You know, I go out, I go out to the community and buy $25 here, $25.
But those gift cards, Harvey, just, are bought by us.
Yeah.
I buy it, Angela buys it, we all, Max, Kent, everybody, everybody buys it. The county doesn't spend the money, we don't spend the county's money for those gift cards, we buy them ourselves. So,
Well, I'm just going by what the city of Cape does. They used to have a big, I guess, meal for everybody. And then they give everybody a choice whether they wanted a ham or a turkey.
right, every company I've ever worked for, you get a turkey for Thanksgiving and you get a ham for Christmas, we don't do that.
Yeah,
They did, in Bobby G. Myers days.
They did,
We did.
it's something you guys can
And,
consider.
well, it
We'll
turned
work out.
into, he got a lot of hardship due to that. The county highway did it as well,
Oh, from the public,
indicating that the county taxpayers shouldn't buy
okay.
the employees'
Get
ham.
into that.
I think it is a nice gesture though to show
Right.
our employees that we appreciate what they do for us.
So when, just background, so you know, when Darren was the treasurer, he absolutely would not have even been along with this. He said, you can't buy food with county taxpayer money. I checked with our auditors, because I thought that was like a rule. It's not a rule. The auditors say, as long as you budget for it, you can do it. In theory, I mean, do you want to spend taxpayers' money on that? That's the struggle, so.
No, but it builds morale.
Yes. So.
Okay.
Anything else to do? You good? All right, so then I have the county clerk, which he isn't here to talk to you guys about it, and he probably needs to be. I mean, he needs to talk to you, he's asking for 5 express vote machines. I'll try to tell you what I know about them. I believe those are the touchscreen machines that he uses, on voting, and the reason he's wanting 5 more is because I think he has 2 right now, maybe, and he uses those here at the courthouse for early voting. Well, the problem is they have to be programmed for the, what's the place is called? The polling places. So a couple days before the election, he has to pull those and program them to send those 2 out. Then he doesn't have any for here, and we don't have enough for all the polling places. So he's asking for 5 more voting machines. He was asking for it because he thought that if you remember, we bought a bunch of new voting machines and we not leased them, but we got a loan for them. He thought we were done paying that this year, but we're not done paying it till next year. So you would have like 32,000 payment for that, and then this, if you approve it. But he can explain it, I'm sure we'll talk about it in another board meeting. And the only other thing that's on here is what I have under the commissioners. Completely up to you guys. I put in here 6 chairs, and I just put an average price of $400 for a chair. If you go into my office, if you remember last year, we replaced all the chairs in the courtroom because they're falling apart on the floor. If you go in my office, there's a chair with a broken wheel, you can't sit in it. There's, the seats the leather is coming off the seats and coming all over the floor. So that would just be for chairs for that table in the office to go around it. And then I have on here the highway department building, in case we need to have a discussion on what we're doing with it. And I put the animal control building, I don't know if we know it's gonna cost more than what we've got allocated. We can use some ARPA money for the difference if we need to, so I don't have an amount there. And then the only other thing I have an amount for is cages for the storage building. So this building over here that we put up, it's up, it has, insulation, it has HVAC, doesn't have any walls, we weren't gonna do that, instead we were gonna just put up cages, kind of like, downstairs. Well, I don't know if you've been downstairs, but it's just a big open area with cages. And then we would give the cage and say, Lee, this is your cage over here, Angela, this is your cage, so that they could go put stuff in it and lock it. I looked them up online and tried to estimate, it could be anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 for cages over there, depending on, I don't even know how many we want to buy. So,
It's assuming we get prefab built, already built ones.
Yes.
Versus a contractor.
So basically, you're talking lockers, kind of like a locker.
yes,
Lockers.
that's what I'm talking about. So I'm talking about money to continue finishing our storage shed. We started on it, we put a lot into it this year. I just don't want it to keep sitting there getting, I mean, it's being used. We're actually housing stuff in it, but like Angela needs more space. I need space. Adam did make some room for us in there, so that was good, but that's what the request is. And like I said, I didn't get anything from the public defender, so I have no idea. The treasurer's office is not requesting anything, the assessor's office, and the assessor's office is not requesting anything. Well, actually, she is requesting something.
Yeah.
She requested a printer that was $200, and I told her just go buy it, because she has money in her budget. So,
You go do that.
At least we're getting a cage to put her in.
Yeah.
so that is all of the items on the list. So,
Well, I think, what we've discussed, having a special meeting possibly next week, that,
I'm looking at the calendar, I think next Friday was the only day that would work. If you want to call a special meeting for next Friday so that you guys can actually approve this stuff.
I think everybody needs to look at this and think about it. Still need to get, and we can get Lance in here at the beginning of that meeting
It's late, here next week. We'll be right on it.
and do his thing, and, then we can vote yes or nay.
And then once you go through all those stuff and you guys say what you want, then I will work on getting them all into the budget and the right line items that they go in and everything. And then the first meeting in November, you will need to approve the tentative budget so that it can post for 15 days, so that we can
Be great.
officially approve it at the end of November to go into effect. As you're thinking about these things, there's just a couple of things that I want to say in general. Just keep in mind, one-time purchases doesn't really hurt us too much. You know, it hurts you in the year that you're in. These requests for making people full-time, adding a part-time person, those are forever. So just, I mean, in theory, yes, you can get rid of them, but getting rid of a person after you add it is hard to do. So just keep, I'm not saying not do it, I'm just saying keep it in mind that those cost us a lot more, and even increases to people's budgets. Once you increase their budget, it's gonna be really hard to go back and decrease their budget, so.
Okay. We don't have anything for executive session today. We may have the next meeting
Correct.
or two, but not today. Other business, anybody?
I gotta just tell her thank you. I mean, again, reinforce what you said earlier. This is a big process.
Oh, yeah. I want to throw out a little bit, since Lance isn't here. He wanted me to update everybody. The voters registration purge and vote by mail applications have been sent out this past week. Meaning each voter should get their registration card, vote by mail application together in the mail. They need to obviously keep their voter registration card as proof of registration. On the vote by mail application, if someone wishes to sign up to vote by mail, either permanently or just certain elections, they can fill out the paper and submit it back to the clerk's office. the new part this year on it is they can opt out of getting all this in the mail. In other words, if they wish to never receive another vote mail application, they can mark it accordingly, and there's none of that, which I think is great. I certainly will be. It's, the new opt-out thing is what's really new about it. And, Lance and other county clerks came up with this idea at their meetings and their legislative association meetings, and got it signed into law. So thank you, Lance. Good job. But wanted me to share all that, just to give you an update on what was going on. So there you be. Anything else?
You can tell me your second first.
Well, I haven't heard of the checks.
Oh, okay.
I have completed the second disbursement, but I still have to print fake checks. And then Siobhan is out sick, so the release of the funds will be next week.
Okay, good deal.
Uh-huh.
I just want to publicly apologize. I haven't been on my phone for other reasons. I've got multiple sick family members. And so I'm not trying to keep them included. I also.
Motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'm sorry.
So I was able to submit the training application and syllabus to start the EMT class starting in January, going to May. So I'll let you guys know that's going on. They're gonna offer it free. Right now, the cost of the book is still on the student, unless we can find some other funds or find some way to support those.
How much is it?
Books are around $150, so it's not too bad at all. So we should be able to find funding for those. And then, we got approved for the intergovernmental agreement to receive additional money to support our Medicaid costs. So this will recompense what we're actually spending to make Medicaid runs. So this will actually increase what we get from the state of Illinois.
Good.
Are you still okay with Union County Hospital participating? You know?
Well, they're going through their changeover, so we've not had a lot of communication.
Okay, that's the reason why I asked.
And just because Cody, was speaking up there, talking about revenue and stuff, just so you guys know, ambulance department is continuing to trend, to exceed their budget for revenue all the time. So not that, just to reiterate the fact that we went to this billing company, they are doing wonders for us, and it is showing in our revenue that the ambulance department is bringing in.
We've got 3 people, did I understand that? That's going
We've got one starting next week. I've got 2 more that are currently going through the Illinois licensing process.
Good deal.
How long does that take?
In Illinois.
Okay, gotcha.
And again, from Paul Jacobs, he said this professional regulation renewal stuff is really, really an issue.
Yeah, state of Illinois they've only got so many staff members to actually handle these. So it's a special license.
All righty. Thank you for that. Motion to adjourn?
Make a motion. A second.
Commissioner Arnold?
Yes.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Door?
Yes.